Let's take a look at Inkscape. Our goal for using this program is literally to be able to design a sprite for our own programs. In order to get there, though, we've got a bunch of things. We have to be able to navigate our canvas, and that's where we're going to start. So I'm going to go over here on my canvas. I'm going to make a shape, which is now not going to work again because there we go. There's a shape. When stuff like this happens, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go into fill and stroke. I need to go to fill. I need to check over here. That's this CMS. I'm going to turn that to 255 and that's going to give me a full color. All right, let's close that. Okay, so when I'm in here to zoom in, you've got your scroll mouse, which is going to move things up and down. If I want to zoom in the canvas, I'm going to tap the plus sign. And what happens is sometimes that moves everything off the screen. If I type 5, it's going to put everything back in the center. So I'm going to go back to that zoom. And again, I've made my screen really large again. If I want to get it back to 100%, I'm going to type the number 1. And that's going to bring it back to 100% for me. So these are some ways that I can use the zoom. It's also down here on the bottom right. I can click down here and that's going to change the percentage of my zoom. So if I wanted to say, okay, 500%, it is now off my page because it is so large. So I'm going to type 5 and that's going to put it back to normal for me. Okay, so some of the other things we have here, we have the selection tool. You always want to make sure that if you want to move items or resize them or rotate them, you have this little arrow checked. So I'm going to add some more items, add a star, change its color. I'm going to add a swirl, and I'm going to color it. And now I have some different items on here. So if I want to select multiple items at the same time, I'm going to hold down my shift key and I'm going to make sure I have my selection tool and I'm going to select multiple items. So, and then I can move them together. I can resize them. It gives me some opportunities. And I went, oh no, I forgot to add in the other one. I'm just going to hold down the shift key, select that one, and now they should all be selected and I should be able to move them all. Or I can draw an imaginary box around everything to select it all. And that gives me the same stuff I had before. Another way to do that is literally to just do Control A. Oops, I used the wrong button. Control A, that gives me everything. Lets me move stuff around as well. So, I wrote myself some crazy little notes over here. Like, for example, dude, I want to move my object just a tiny bit at a time. Well, that's fine if I do that. I'm going to use the arrow keys, which is nice because you're moving stuff in such a tiny, tiny increment. So I can make it just so that these two are barely touching each other. So those are some ways that I can move stuff as well. This works really well when you're trying to attach things together. You have your basic shortcuts. Control C is going to copy. If I do Control A and then delete, I'm going to get rid of everything. Control A, delete, they're all gone. If I do Control V, or I'm sorry, if I go back up to edit, undo, delete, they come back. If I want to copy something, I'm going to do Control C, Control V, and that will put it where my mouse was. And then I also have, if I want to cut it, that's Control X. If I control X something, I can control V and it will paste it. So I can cut and paste as well as copy and paste. Now, if I want to duplicate something, let's say I want to duplicate this one, I'm going to do Control D. And it's like, oh, that didn't do anything. Well, yes, it did. There's a complete duplicate of what we just had. Okay? All right, I'm going to get rid of everything on this canvas. I'm going to make a new object. And I'm going to fix my fill and stroke on this, 255, to get the color I want. There we go. Close that. And if you notice, when I have my selection tool and I click on the object one time, I get these handles here. These are all my resizing handles. And I can move it as well. Usually if you want to keep it looking like a star, you want to use the corner handles. If you want to make it skinnier, you're going to use the side ones, and shorter, you're going to use the ones on the top and bottom in the center. However, this has a really nice feature. If I click twice, 1, 2, it changes my handles. So now I can rotate my star if I want, which is very nice. And then let's say that I want to flip it horizontally. I'm going to type the letter H, and that's horizontal. If I type the letter V, it's going to flip it vertically. And then what's also cool are these handles right here. These ones allow you to kind of add in slants. So it helps you organize and manipulate your objects really, really well. I accidentally found this thing right here, which is not part of my notes yet, but it says spray objects. So if I click on that and I click somewhere here, I just thought that was so cool. I can make a whole bunch of them. And then if I want to get rid of everything, click on my selection tool, Control A, delete, whoops. Control A, why is it? Oh, I'm using the wrong button. I'm not Control A-ing it. There we go. So those are how you use the handles, okay? And then lastly, let's look at grouping items because you're going to practice doing this today. Star, swirl, circle. Let's fix that's properties. Okay, and let's give that a color. There we go. Okay, sometimes you want to group your objects together so that they become one new object. So I can draw that imaginary box to select them all, and then if I do Control G, you can see now it's one box around all of them. What's nice about this is now I can resize all of them at the same time. So if I want to rotate this, I can rotate them all together. I want to go slants, I can do that all together. So these are some of the basic things that you're going to want to try today. Give it a go, see what happens. Try some of the other tools as you go along, and we'll learn some more as we go along. Thanks for listening.